Hi, thanks for calling the Feminist Hotline. Please hold.
Hi.
Welcome back to the Feminist Hotline podcast.
I'm Harper.
And I'm Dylan.
And this week, we are going to be talking about toxic masculinity.
Which we actually didn't put in our intro episode where we talked about all the things we were going to talk about. But
surprise!
Yeah. All right.
Before we get into that, Dylan, how was your week?
My week has been, pretty busy. I had to take a lot of tests this week, and I failed them all, probably. Oh, God. And I'm at Harper's dad's house, which has been really fun so far.
Yeah.
And I tried coffee for the first time. Well, it's kind of coffee. It's, mostly hot chocolate.
Because you can't drink coffee.
I can't. It's so strong.
And she's really hyper, so it would have a big, strong effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Harper, how was your week?
Okay, it was kind of the same as Dylan's. Not much going on. We failed the same 3 tests, but
We literally took the same ones.
But the history test, I think we're most embarrassed about failing because she gave us a lot of time to study, and guess who did not study?
Us too.
And then she let us use our notes, but guess who does not take good notes?
Us too.
Yeah, that was great. And what else? Oh yeah. So she's staying at my dad's house for 4 days. We've never hung out with each other for this long, and
we've had 2 night sleepovers, but
we might kill each other.
We might.
We got so annoyed with each other last night because we were, oh my god, it was so
we were
bad.
trying to record this episode. A different episode. Oh god, it was horrible. But anyways, here we are with you guys now.
Let's get right into it. Okay, so first we should probably say the definition of toxic masculinity for those of you who do not know. But I got this off of Google, so it's gonna sound like I'm reading off of something because I am. Okay, so the definition of toxic masculinity involves cultural pressures for men to behave in a certain way, and it is likely this affects all boys and men in some fashion. Toxic masculinity refers to the notion that some people's idea of manliness perpetrates domination, homophobia, and aggression. Like a pit bull.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is why toxic masculinity is toxic to men. So in the definition, it kind of touched on this, that men, when they're being taught toxic masculinity or shown it just makes them see that they have to suppress their emotions because of society's or whatever this idea of what a man is. And that's totally not true. Men should be able to communicate their emotions. And this could also take a huge toll on their mental health because it just you suppress your emotions and you can't talk to anybody because you're embarrassed about it and you have no one to talk to. That takes a toll on you. But also, another thing, this kind of goes into how it affects women, but it also affects them too, because it changes their view on women because they see us as objects and they don't look at us as a living human being, and they just think they can disregard and disrespect us. And that's a huge issue because it just changes their whole view on it,
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Okay, so Harper mentioned this a little bit, but toxic masculinity also affects women as well. Because men feeling like they can't express themselves, if they're in a relationship, it can lead to gender-based violence, rape culture, sexual harassment.
And that's probably because of their need to be aggressive and dominant.
Yeah. They can look at women as sex objects, and it can make them feel like they have entitlement to women's bodies.
And not look at us as humans.
Yeah.
Why it's toxic to men is because they're taught that their only emotion can ever be anger.
And just dominance, and just really just not showing any sadness or vulnerability.
Yeah, and that can really have an effect on them in the long term. And then also, if you've built up feelings and you have anger, okay, built up feelings are going to lead to anger because you feel like
Always.
you can't express them. Yeah. So that can go into gender-based violence because you're going to take it out on your
Exactly.
partner.
Exactly.
You're going to think it just...
And also, because if like I was told, that I, had to show only one emotion, being dominant and all of that, it would like all build up. And then if the person that I was like most close to, if I couldn't show my emotions towards them, I would get angry.
Yeah, and it's hard with women too because we're told we just kind of have to go with it, and like we're never told stand up for yourself. Well, some girls are, like Dylan and I are lucky to have people in our lives who are like stand up
Always. Yeah.
and I hope we give you that. Like if a man or a boy is not treating you,
don't let them do that.
No, it's wrong, and
you stand up for yourself
because you're amazing.
And even though it is hard, we need to have a whole episode about standing up for yourself because it's a very hard thing to do.
Especially when it's like...
Yeah, because no one wants to come out as no one, like, especially at school, like, no one wants to be that person that's like...
Yeah, and it's so, like, made fun of. And I think, especially for, like, girls, we're just, like, if we don't stand up for ourselves, like, it builds up inside of us. But when we do, we're called, like, so, like, emotional. Like, oh, you're on your period, right? And it's just like, oh my god, like, no.
Exactly.
But
you should stand up for yourself, and we'll have an episode about,
our advice.
Okay, so the next topic that we're going to be talking about is why toxic masculinity is toxic to society. Now, this first thing that I'll be talking about, I don't think it's more than toxic, okay? Like, yeah. But 98% of mass shootings men are responsible for. So that's almost all. And from 2000 to 2017, 9 out of 250 mass shootings, women were responsible for. So 9 out of 250, so.
That's crazy. Probably from all the built-up aggression.
Yeah.
They just have to go, because, like, the only way they can express their feelings is through anger, and they've just been taught that. So that kind of leads into the next point about why it's toxic to society, and that's because a lot of men are confused because of what they've been taught by toxic masculinity on what a real or ideal man is. And so they think that's just, like, hiding their emotions and, playing a lot of sports and being tough, and that obviously is not what it is, but that's just because a lot of people in their lives, including society, is telling them that that's what a man has to do, like provide and be working all the time.
And another thing is, I feel like we need to stop teaching young women to just take it from men. And even if no one directly says it, as we talked about, as we like touched on earlier, like no one wants to, like, no girl, like, it's embarrassing kind of standing up for yourself, which is so crazy to me. Because you should never, if you're feeling like you're being disrespected, you should never feel embarrassed to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And, for example, I had this thing happen to me where this guy was being mean to me, talking about my appearance. And I didn't want to be...
And she doesn't even know the guy, just so you know.
I didn't really know him. And I didn't want to feel, like, offended. I didn't want to stand up for myself because I was going to be embarrassed by that. I didn't want to do that. I just kind of sat there and, like, laughed and, like, giggled a little bit.
You just took it.
I just took it. I didn't say anything about it. I didn't stand up for myself.
And it's scary to do that.
It is.
Especially with other people around.
Because it was, like... Yeah, no, because there was other people around, and I didn't want to, like, look like...
If you hear dogs barking in the background, I think I may have said this before, I am so sorry. I have 3 dogs. They are quite loud. I am really, really sorry.
They just went on a little, they just started something, but the point is, they're so
loud.
Shh, okay. Oh my god. Oh.
It's okay.
And it's just so crazy to me that it's, like, normalized being embarrassed by standing up for yourself.
And yeah, and being taught that you're, like, embarrassed from this, like, from a young age, and that you just have to take it, again, leads to, like, abusive relationships. And
exactly, because then if you're taught that and you realize you're like, oh, I don't feel like standing up for myself in these little situations, once it gets to a whole nother level, maybe someone, like, does something really bad for you, maybe you won't know how to stand up for yourself, and that can get very dangerous.
And you think it's like okay, and so you just accept the abuse. And I mean, not all situations are like that, you know, but we just need to be so aware of it because you really never know. And also, like, girls, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. You're amazing, and we support you, and it's all okay.
Okay, so sorry for rambling, but the point is, never take abuse from men. Never let them talk about you
Never let them
badly.
disrespect you.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to say something because
And we'll have episodes on, like, we'll try and make an episode about how you can stand up for yourself, because it can be difficult knowing what to say and everything.
it can be extremely difficult depending on your situation.
But yeah.
Another thing we have to do to stop making toxic masculinity so accepted and normalized in our society is to stop teaching and telling men that they need to cover their emotions and be masculine and dominant, because it's obviously created such a huge problem for everybody, and it is not okay, and we really need to like check ourselves and adjust how the norms we have even from a young age. And I think everybody just needs to do a readjustment about how they treat and talk to each other. And yeah.
Okay, and we just wanted to add, like, a little disclaimer saying that we don't think all men are like this, and we're not blaming men for this.
We're not accusing little boys of growing up like this. We're accusing society for creating these norms, and the people teaching the little boys and stuff these norms, and teaching girls to accept it. So just putting that out there.
Yeah.
So if you don't get canceled.
All right, that is all we have for you guys today.
Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you found this educational.
Yeah, we know this is short because
And
this
we're
is one of
sorry.
our more, like, factual episodes where we're just kind of trying to inform you guys about a topic, but, you know, we'll have more heart to heart.
Maybe in the next episode, you should go listen to it. And also, if you have any requests or you just want to talk to us, we have an email. I don't know if you know, but you could email it and say hi or request something.
Yeah, if you just wanted to talk to someone, if you have a situation that you
If
want
you're up at 12 at night like me and Dylan because of feminist rages, please email the email.
because we are in it with you.
Yeah, it's frustrating being a feminist, I know. But thank you again, and please go listen to our next episode. It's a heart to heart, and it's about being a girl.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Okay, we love you so much. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Listening. Bye.